Welcome back to The Takeout. OpenAI, the developer behind ChatGPT, says one of its artificial intelligence models went rogue, direct quote, and hacked another AI company. It did so with no instructions. It decided to do so, this model, on its own. Neil Lawrence joins us now. He's a professor of machine learning at Cambridge University and a deep expert in this space. So let me read to you the lead from the New York Times, Neil. OpenAI said on Tuesday that two of its artificial intelligence models went rogue and successfully hacked into Hugging Face, a digital library of AI technology that is popular among developers. Goes on, displaying the kind of science fiction potential that AI companies warned would soon become a reality. If I can be glib, what in the name of HAL 9000 is going on here?
Well, the story's accurate, but I think we also have to remember that OpenAI is about to IPO and that they've been facing a period where their rivals Anthropic have had the lead on them. So the background to this, as I understand it, is that they were trying to demonstrate the capabilities of their new model to breach systems. So they were trying to turn their model into a hacker. Now, they did that by putting the model in a sort of cage. And that cage was supposed to stop the model reaching the internet or other companies, and they told it to compete in a hacking challenge. Now, to do this, they switched model safeguards off. So they allowed the model to do things it shouldn't normally do. But what the model then realized is that it was easier to cheat on this challenge than to actually compete in the challenge. And since it was trained and taught how to hack and encouraged to hack, it hacked its way out of its cage and tried to break into Hugging Face to steal the answers to the challenge rather than taking part in the challenge. So absolutely, in some sense, it went rogue, it broke through the cage, but in a very real sense, they told it to hack, and it did hack.
So if I hear you correctly, Neil, this was rogueness in pursuit of a press release?
Well, it was certainly rogueness initially in pursuit of demonstration of performance on benchmarks. Now, I don't want to say the entire thing is in pursuit of a press release, but I think you also have to ask questions around what the whole premise of these companies is, that they can produce models that are do-it-all and fix-it-all models. But the challenge in practice is that we struggle to control these models when they are deployed. And even OpenAI has demonstrated that they can't control their own model when it's deployed. And I think that the real story is that we have to be very careful when deploying such very large models, and that we may well be better off deploying smaller, less capable models to carry out the jobs we have in mind for them.
Right, because, Neil, that begs the question, how can you control the uncontrollable?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, people are making a big deal about it being AI, but I think we can also see that regular software systems do things that their owners don't predict. They have glitches in. You've just been talking about New Jersey's voting system that had a glitch that allowed non-citizens to vote, right? That's going on all the time. But this is different. So what I think is going on is we have two types of cybersecurity risk. What I think of as a type 1 cybersecurity risk. And that type 1 cybersecurity risk is the classical risk where our software has flaws in it, and those flaws can be exploited, and they can be exploited by these systems. That's what OpenAI were trying to demonstrate. But there's another emergent risk that I would call a type 2 cybersecurity risk, and that's that we are building systems that behave in different ways to classical software. Now, I don't like to talk about emergent artificial intelligence. I think a lot of that is about hyping up these companies to raise their IPO value. But I do think we should acknowledge that this is a significantly different technology. It can be extremely useful, but only when carefully deployed. And at the moment, we're talking about companies that are targeting trillion-dollar stock market valuations, and it's in their interests to hype the capability of these models. But I think in this case, it's backfiring because you cannot deploy these models in the form that they have just done. And they are showing that themselves. If they are not capable of harnessing their model within a cage and testing it without allowing it out on the web, then what on earth is in store for the rest of us if we try and do that? So what businesses are seeing, and I see this through my work with a company, Trent AI, that I've started up, that businesses themselves tend not to deploy these very large models in practice. They deploy smaller models in controlled conditions. They're much more sensible than OpenAI was in this case.
Very quickly, Neil, who should we look to as a society for some of these controls or parameters on this rapid fire expansion in pursuit of IPO riches?
It's a very difficult question, and I think it has multiple answers. And I think the responsibility lies on all of us, and lies on all of us to get interested in this technology, find out what it can do and what it can't do, and don't just get carried away with the wave of hype we're hearing from companies in whose interest it is to say that they are the only ones that should control these technologies. These are problematic technologies when incorrectly deployed, but when well deployed in the context of sensible applications, they can do a tremendous amount for us. How we regulate that? It's difficult. The regulations will need to track what's going on and evolve as these problems arise. But the first things we should be doing is just the sensible stuff. Sort out our cybersecurity. Use cybersecurity tools, emerging ones supported by AI, to improve your security at home. Make sure that's going on, and we can all participate in that.
Neil Lawrence, great stuff. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.